All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the January meeting of the Portsmouth Conservation Commission. First thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the November and the December meetings of last year. Did anyone have any edits? Sorry. No. Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the November 13th, 2024 meeting minutes. Do them separately?
Sure.
I don't know.
Do we have a second for that one?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. December?
Make a motion that we approve the December minutes as presented.
And I'll second.
Great. All in favor? Excellent. We are going to, I guess let's just get this out of the way first. The State Wetland Bureau application for Wentworth is requesting postponement. So would someone like to make a motion to postpone that application to the February meeting?
I'll make a motion that we postpone the dredge and fill major impact State Wetland Bureau application at 185 to 187 Wentworth to the February meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay. They requested postponement, so I don't really have any discussion. So all in favor? Great. Okay. Do you think we should still do election of officers quickly?
Sure.
If we think.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so would someone make a motion? We're going to move the election of officers up. Now, I only have until 4:40, and if we get that out of the way, then we can just head off to Borthwick, and that'll be it. So, would someone like to make a motion to move that up in the agenda?
I will make a motion that we move the election of officers to our next agenda item.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Do you want to give the lowdown on that real quick?
Sure. So,
We're just flying here. I know you can't keep up.
it's been a full year since we last did this, but basically, if anybody wants to nominate a certain person or persons, you can. Basically, the nomination is just a normal motion. I nominate so and so to be chair, so and so to be vice chair. You can do both of them in one motion. If anybody has an idea for who might want to be, okay, yeah, perfect.
I nominate Slam Collins to remain our chair and Barbara McMillan to remain our vice chair. I am grateful, and they are both doing an excellent job.
Is that, I wanted to ask, is that, are both of you willing to serve again in the
Yes.
capacity that
I
you are?
am willing.
I don't want
serve
to, I don't want
until-
to, I
until
don't want
someone
you
else wants to do
to
it.
accept because you
No.
didn't know that we were going to do this.
No, if someone else wants to, by all means,
No,
but I'm fine holding on to
I'm
it for
fine
now.
with both also. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure you had both already decided that you
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah, and tell somebody else.
So I'll
would like
second
to
the
do it.
nomination.
Okay. Yes, I'm okay doing it for another year.
Yeah,
Barbara,
and I'm good, but at the same time, I want to, give the opportunity to somebody else at some point, whenever. But
I don't have any interest, so. But I will
You
second.
might
We are
have to have
grateful to you
interest. You
both.
might have to have interest in a couple
I will
years.
second it, not this time. I should,
Not
I
this
should
time.
qualify.
Good. Okay, any other discussion? Was there, you seconded, so.
I second it.
Ready for a vote? All in favor? Great.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, next on the agenda is the CUP Wetland Conditional Use Permit application for 333 Borthwick Avenue.
Do you guys want me to run through the whole thing again? Or how do you,
Maybe-
just a quick
Maybe
recap?
briefly, yeah.
All right, so the general scope of the project is associated with a previous permit on the property. It's to address the hydrologic connectivity and some sediment backup that's occurring in the man-made drainage that's behind Portsmouth Regional Hospital. In an attempt to address these concerns, we are increasing the size, hydrologic capacity for this with a stream crossing, replacing three 24-inch plastic culverts with a, I believe it's a 3x4 box culvert, and adjusting some of the grading on either side. Most of this is going to be left alone and just watch for maintenance in case any blockages occur. But beyond that, it's just to address backup concerns and hopefully relieve some of the hydrologic stuff that's happening upstream. It will be widened a little bit just to maintain that access for Unitil. Other than that, it's going to be jute mat on the side with conservation seed mix to reestablish the banks that are disturbed. And I believe we are using smooth river stone interior of the culvert to simulate stream simulation. So, and other than that, it's not much has changed. So.
I know from the DES permit, we had a couple stipulations. And in the staff recommendation, there were a few that I think didn't seem to make it onto the plans yet. So I just wanted to make sure that those were still going to be added.
That's just in the recommendations on the last page, right?
Yep.
Okay. I believe that you're just the fertilizer.
Yep.
The invasive species management, are you just talking specifically in that area or for the entire?
Parcel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
'Cause
we were
the-
talking about just in that area.
Just in that area, we can monitor for that. But as far as the entire parcel, it's
Yeah.
nearly impossible.
No, I understand. I think we're looking more for the area, 'cause
Specifically
you're-
just-
where you're taking, vegetation out, and
Yep.
it has a higher opportunity for invasives to grow in, just keeping an eye out for that.
Yep. And are you just looking for like best management practices for like roadway management kind of deal? Or are you?
I think
There's-
so. I can't remember who was the one who stipulated that in the DES permit application.
It's usually a requirement just to make sure that it's one of the conditions of approval
Yeah.
in a wetlands permit that goes through to make sure that you're not, that you're following best management practices, including not spreading invasive species.
Yeah, I think just having that
Yep.
in there so that it's all documented.
Yep. And you're just looking to have that as a note on the plan set, correct?
For the invasive species?
Yeah. Or are you looking to have it as a condition?
I mean, I think ideally we'd want like a text,
It would be like,
one-page plan kind of thing.
yeah, like how you typically have on just a note section on the plan, just outlining invasive species monitoring for or whatever BMPs are listed.
Yeah, I mean, how do you guys feel? Is that like sufficient? Just having a, kind of on the, on the details
Yeah,
section?
yeah, in a detail sheet.
So we're talking about the invasive species management plan and whether or not having it just as a kind of a detail note on the plan is sufficient. And just what everyone's thoughts were on that. Or if it would need to be something more, if you had an opinion, because I'm not really sure. Not to put you on the spot. But I can't remember who had this
Yeah, I
the
can't either. If it
stipulation.
Was it from the city? No.
Well, it's,
Never either. But I remember us talking about it, but when we went out there, are there any invasives out there right now that?
In
Or in the
that
area?
specifically in that area, I think it's mostly just cattail at this point. I know that they do some cutting along the banks, not necessarily interior, like to manage it on closer towards Borthwick. But as far as getting up towards where there's flow, it's not really that dense with the Phragmites, if at all.
then just a note on the plan to just, follow best management practices in the area of disturbance for this project, I think would be sufficient.
I think another one of the staff memo recommendations, and this wasn't part of the DES permit, but I was thinking about just when you're doing the seeding, the reseeding, a long-term, or not super long-term, but just a maintenance plan to make sure that that comes up and survives. So maybe just checking for invasives after a year of planting is part of that organically.
Yep, we can, that shouldn't be an issue.
Maintenance plan, Kate, for the establishment of vegetation, what's our normal, like, protocol? Is it?
We usually ask for a report after the first 2 years, and if plants or seed mix hasn't grown up to like an 80% survival rate, then we ask for replanting in the areas that didn't make it.
Yep.
So if there's invasive that grew in, maybe in 2 years, add more.
Yeah, usually
vegetation mix.
it would be like if there's an erosional issue that washes the seed out.
Yeah.
And you said 80%?
80% after 2 years of planting.
And that report just goes to planning?
Yep, it just comes to the department,
Okay.
planning and sustainability.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't cover it already, the timing of this, when are you going to be doing this?
We were restricted by, they were gonna do it this winter, but we were restricted by Fish and Game. I think it's until after April 15th. I would have to go back and look. They just wanna make sure that it's not during the overwintering for Blanding's turtle. So no disturbance will occur. I'd have to go back. He might actually have put it in the plans. But there is a date restriction for this, so it'll likely occur between, I believe it's between April and September of this year. That's the goal anyway for them.
Okay, so that would be different than the note on the wildlife notes, number 4.
I don't know which.
So that would be turtles may be attracted to disturbed ground during the nesting season, May 15th to June 30th.
What page is that on, Barbara?
It's in the plan. Which one is it? C200.
Okay.
C2-00. So, I mean, that seems to be saying that you have to take precautions, right? And which you have in the notes there.
That would, yeah, it would, my guess is that's part of just the contractor, keeping an eye on it. I mean, as far as the removal and installation of that, I was told by HCA that it'd probably be no disturbance no longer than a week.
Okay.
Probably a couple, I think he said it's a day to establish erosion control and get all the equipment ready to go, another day to tear the stuff out, day to put it in, and a day to reestablish.
Okay.
So for this kind of work, I guess it's a pretty quick process. The longest part might be disconnecting and reconnecting the gas to the hospital. That coordination that needs to take place and whatnot.
Okay. And I just, one other clarification, which, I apologize, I was trying to go back to see if you had it in the grading notes too. In the wildlife notes, they talk about the type of erosion control matting to use, and they don't specifically tell you what kind to use, but they say what they're looking for as far as parameters. And I didn't see that specifically also noted under the, I think it was under the, I'm trying to find it, the grading notes, erosion control. But I just wanted to make sure that that wording gets in
So these
anywhere.
notes were pulled, to my knowledge, these notes were pulled directly from the recommendations that are implemented from the FIS consultation. So that's just their standard stuff put right into
Right.
here, so that it's considered included in the plan set. And you're just looking to have the non-welded plastic stuff, right?
Well, no, I'm looking for like the cocoa nut matting or whatever, but I mean, they kind of go beyond just non-plastic. They go not the mesh, that certain size and things like that. So the wording in number 6, under wildlife, should just be the same wording anywhere else you mention erosion control matting. Because what I had seen before was that you did just say non-plastic, and I think they're more specific than that. So, the turtles don't get caught up in it. Because the biodegradable is going to take a while to biodegrade, and
Yes, yeah.
so you have to kind of take it a step further. So I just wanted to make sure it's consistent throughout the whole plan.
Yep, just having that wildlife note in the actual erosion control section.
Yep.
Good catch, Barbara.
The last note on the staff memo was just the wetland boundary markers, and just noting them where they're going to be placed on the plan, too.
When you're saying wetland boundary markers, what do you, just like
Those are those placards, or is that what you call them, that you can buy from the city that just,
say sensitive habitat
yeah.
along? Okay.
And I think in our last discussion, we had suggested putting them right at the edge of pavement.
I think that would, I think we can do just interior, but my concern with that would be that during plowing and whatnot, it'll probably be taken out.
Because they push, do they push right there, though?
I'm not
'Cause they
fa-
shouldn't.
I'm
they
not
shouldn't be
familiar
doing
with
that
it.
Anyway,
But it's also, I don't plow, so I don't,
yeah.
right on the edge of pavement. I don't know if that, we can probably mark them out. Are you looking, again, I don't recall how far you were looking to have them.
I think when we were out in the field, I feel like we had kind of said that whole back area a
So
little
along
bit.
the-
It's been so long.
Are you just looking for like essentially an area limited to the existing conditions for C1-00?
C1-00. Yeah, so like what that plan set shows, like that stretch?
Yeah, just that stretch.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that's what we were, when we were out in the field, I feel like that's what we were, because that's all we could see from the, when we were
Right.
out there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I would
get
kind I
about-
would kind of recommend if we're going with that, either contour 24 or 25, not directly on edge of pavement.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the plowing is a different issue, which I don't know if we have any, can do anything about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen it. I mean, I saw it once in the winter, but I wasn't really paying attention to where the snow was pushed.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, we could definitely make that a stipulation if that's a concern, like no plow sign or
Or no-
no snow storage sign.
Yeah, in that, again, along that same stretch where we're doing the boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, and I don't know how plowing goes for that
Yeah.
access either.
Right, to cross over the,
There's no guardrails or anything,
yeah.
or banks, so.
Well, if nothing else, I think, yeah, putting them a little bit interior, just to maybe have them survive more than a season might be good. Anybody have any other questions?
I had a question about a slightly different topic. And again, maybe this is, I don't know, maybe a little uninformed, but I mean, obviously you're dramatically expanding the flow through this, this culvert. And yet it's still only large enough for a 10-year storm. It seems like that's the way it was explained.
I think that because it's a tier 1 stream crossing, so it has to be sized to meet the minimum of minimum of a 50-year storm.
Okay.
50 or 15?
50.
Okay.
That's the DES requirement.
Okay. And it is.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what, it did say 10-year in a few different places. But maybe it's just, I was
It's
just
suppo-
misreading the calculations.
Are you talking about the report for the Bowman drainage report.
I guess so, yeah.
I typically don't check the engineer work, so I'm not totally familiar with that.
I guess my my question, which maybe you know, but so in those rare cases, whether it's a larger than a 10-year or larger than a 50-year storm, what does happen to the excess water? It just goes into the parking lot? Is that and kind of just moves more slowly through that culvert?
I honestly, I don't know in that instance. I don't know what's happened in recent years. Obviously, we've had some pretty dramatic flooding coastally. I don't know how that affected the hospital or Borthwick Ave. I do know, I guess Liberty Mutual has been complaining about some hydrologic backup on their property.
Yeah.
And kind of this is an attempt to solve that without having to dredge the entire thing and get it back to
Right.
where it was. But as far as what happens if it backs up today, I assume it just goes right into the parking lot.
Okay, and then abutting landowners complain, it sounds like. Okay, thanks for that explanation. I'll look at where that was referenced in the plan set.
I'm looking for it now too, but
I know.
I might just quickly jump in just before we run out of time with Sam. I just wanted to make you aware, Brendan, that it came to my attention today that Public Works staff are still wanting to see the channel dredged as well. So I think that might be an additional action that comes in the next few months,
So,
in addition to the box culvert.
we did look at, again, I have it somewhere, and we'll have to send, because initially when we were doing this, James Vera and Associates, who did the survey for topography and wetland flags, they did pick up some center channel shots, and they're not that far off from what was initially established.
Okay.
We can, I'll go back and ask.
Yeah, and we can talk offline about this too. I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that
No,
you kinda
that is
heads
new,
up now,
That's new to me.
and I'll
So-
reach out to you later tonight too.
Yes, please. And that's in an attempt to just reestablish, or I vaguely remember that they were
Yeah.
concerned about the backup happening on Liberty Mutual
I
as
think
well
it's
as
mostly about that, the backup on Liberty Mutual.
Okay. They don't want to wait and see how this plays out.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
That would be a conversation for Public Works.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Question on that? So would we see that again, and would DES see that again? DES would see that again.
That
'cause
would
they're
be
the
a
ones
very
that-
extensive project, yeah.
They didn't want to have you do that.
No, it's such an extensive project from a permitting standpoint that
Yeah.
we wanted to try and avoid that much impact. I mean, the square footage that we were looking at, I think, was 50,000 square feet, and just the filing fee alone for that kind of impact is pretty substantial.
Yeah.
40 cents a square foot. And then because we're permanently impacting the grading and some of those areas haven't been maintenance dredged before, they're also looking at mitigation.
Yes.
So
That would be a DES, and then
Peter and I are under the impression that it would need a wetland permit again, even though it's maintenance because of the sensitivity of the prime wetland nearby. But we'll have to double check on that. But we just kind of were scrambling in the last hour when we found that out. So we'll have to get back to you on that.
yeah, there's only, I did look historically because that was initially the first scope of work. There's only a section of that has been maintenance dredged, and it was 15,000 square feet. So that part would still fall under the maintenance section. It's the remaining part that's between the hospital and Liberty Mutual that was not maintenance dredged.
oh, okay.
So
that would be
that-
like new dredging.
That would be new dredging activity.
So that's where a wetland CUP would
Yep,
come in.
and we're talking about sediment testing and stuff like that.
I
So
see.
it's still an extensive
Yeah.
extensive project. DES, Army Corps would be involved pretty well in that, so.
Okay. Not to spring that upon people, but
Yeah.
that might be coming back.
Okay.
Might be.
Any other questions for this phase?
This phase.
Just because I brought it up, I did just find the reference that caught my eyes. It's on the very first page, like in your cover letter. And maybe I'm just misreading it, so maybe this is a little education for me, but the last paragraph says that it's been sized to exceed the 10-year storm event. And it gives some numbers for the 10-year storm event as 136, and it's been sized for 164 cubic feet per second.
This whole thing was included in the dredge and fill, and they did not call out any deficiencies as far as meeting the minimum requirement. I will have to go back and
Although I don't see a calculation for the 50 years. There's a calculation for the 100-year on page 4, but
What's that number?
244. So it's definitely not at the 100-year storm.
Yeah, and this is at 164. Okay.
Oh, yeah, but it could be.
okay.
Are we good to make a motion?
I will make a motion that we recommend approval for the conditional use permit for 33 Borwick Ave for the culvert replacement with the stipulations that some invasive species management and a best practice planting plan are included as part of the plan for when you reseed and managing that. That you ensure that the wildlife stipulations that were noted in the plan for manufacturing erosion and sediment control products are consistent throughout the plan. That it's clear in the plan that fertilizer is prohibited. That wetland boundary markers are placed along the edge of the project and set off the pavement. And does the commission want a no snow storage sign placed in the area if that's a concern for plows?
And add a clarification that I didn't give before on the erosion control matting, that number 6, like, just be more specific, I guess, would be number 6 in the
wildlife notes.
wildlife notes, yeah, on C3-00, be included under the, on C3-01, under erosion control blanket notes, and on C2-00, no, I'm sorry, under, which one did I already give you? C3-01, right? Erosion control blankets, and then on C3-00, erosion control notes. Okay, sorry.
Like about the filament size, right, or the openings of the
Yeah,
filament?
yeah, all those, all
Yeah.
under
Did
number.
you say erosion control legend? Sorry, for C-300, I'm just circling, I'm sorry.
C3-00 is, I think, the one that it's on.
No, I think it's on, oh. Back and look. Wildlife notes is on C3-00?
No, actually, C3-00 is the erosion control notes, so it's included on that.
Okay. And to clarify that the planting practices is send a report after 2 years showing 80% survival or plan to replant.
Yeah. Is that?
That's just trying to get that.
And then maybe let's second that, and then we can talk about the snow storage and discussion, because I don't know. Is everyone good with those stipulations so far? Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, So discussion. First, the snow storage one. I mean, like ideally, yeah, I wouldn't want snow there, but I don't know if it's gonna get to the people who can make that happen. I don't know. I mean, I guess we can put it on and,
I didn't make the site walk, so I'm going a little bit on your guidance, and does that look like a place that snow would be pushed up and?
yeah, there's there's grass and then there's the vegetation.
I don't know how much area there is to push it elsewhere.
They would have to like continue down.
You would have to have, like,
around the building, and even on, kind of on all sides of the building though is wetland.
You'd need a bucket, kind of, to not.
Pick it up and
Yeah.
haul it away.
Yeah.
And it would have to
And-
be almost hauled completely off-site, because like, or put in the main parking lot somewhere.
Right.
They kind of,
And it has to be pushed away for accessibility, I assume, being an emergency area.
likely it's probably only the snow coming from that roadway though, because there's a little bit of parking in the emergency like area, but I don't know, it's not like the front parking lot. Well, that's a good picture.
Not great, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's more there than I thought, but more pavement to plow than I thought, but yeah, I feel like they're kind of strapped.
Just ensure that they don't store additional snow there. It's just the snow from the plow.
How do you say that? Did you put that on the sign?
Yeah, you put it in the maintenance plan.
Oh, you put it in the maintenance. I mean, yeah, we could do
I
that.
think, I don't know.
We could do that. I'm running out of time here. No, I'm not saying that.
Is there a maintenance plan? I mean, we've asked for.
It'd probably be the hospital's maintenance plan.
Yeah, okay.
We're not even,
Be a tough ask.
yeah.
Did we address yet what you were talking about, Lynn, with the discrepancy between the 10-year versus the 50-year in the write-up?
Kind of.
Or do we need to? Did we figure
D-
that out? I mean, it's hard to know if they just missed that or if that's, like, what way those numbers are done.
DES had to review it in the stream crossing stuff. I believe it's not in the request for more information. It's not part of that. So I believe it still meets it.
I mean, we can just have a stipulation in there that says like, double check, basically, you know, that it is meeting the minimum
I mean,
requirements for DES.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, but it looks, I mean, it's calculated to have a flow capacity of 164. So that's obviously more than the 136, but not as much as the 100 years. So it seems like maybe somebody just,
It could be the 50 years?
yeah,
Maybe.
it could be like a
It's
typo.
just- Yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, that's possible. Okay, so maybe just have a stipulation and double check that.
For the plan, when it comes to planning board.
Yeah, that it is exceeding if the requirement
50
is
year.
50 year, that it is meeting that.
Okay.
I mean, back to the snow issue, like, why not ask for a sign? I mean,
Yeah.
we see them around other places, and just no snow dumping or storage, sensitive wetland area or something, you know, just one on either side of that culvert. I mean, and the reason to do that, I think, is both ecological, but it's also about maintaining this as a flow path. If all that snow is there, it's like not gonna be functioning, at those
True.
critical snow melt times, so, why not ask for it? And a sign, we know a sign is probably way more helpful than putting it in a document somewhere. Like,
And
it's-
when you say either side of the culvert, you don't mean like the other side of the culvert side
No,
over
I
there,
just
you
mean
mean like,
yeah,
left
side of
and
the
right of
bridge.
the.
I mean, just
yeah.
because that's where we're focused
Yeah.
for this project. And then
On
it
the
protects that
hospital
opening,
side.
at least.
So on either side of culvert, on the hospital side
think
of the
so.
culvert.
And it could be the same post where they put the little wetland placard, you know?
Yeah, just below it or above it.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
allowed in, but,
Well,
But I think it's a good idea, yeah.
yeah.
Is that good, Jess, with your?
Yes, I am.
Did we
I
have a second?
stand by my motion.
Who was the second on that?
I was the start.
Okay, sorry, good, okay. Any other discussion? Are we ready for a vote? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, great.
Sweet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
That's all we got, right?
Yeah. Barbara, did you have another business item?
What?
Didn't you want to say something?
I just mentioned to you guys about Hodgson Brook, but was there something else?
No, that was it.
Yeah, and that training that you sent out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I signed up for it. It's
HACC.
free. It's easy to sign up for, and it's like 2 hours an evening or something. A lot of it looks really good.
This is the wildlife webinars? No, what is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
I think they
Yeah,
were
there's
wild.
three of them. Yeah, 3 different
For
ones.
extension?
Yeah.
Cool. A couple of them conflict with our meetings, though. They're like Wednesday nights, aren't they?
Yeah, but there's only one. I mean, they conflict with the site visits. So
Yeah.
one of them I didn't sign up for that reason, but yeah, good point.
Oh, that reminds me, for the application that was postponed today, they wanted a special site walk, so if it's okay, I might send out a poll for later this month or middle of the month, so we can just do one separate than from February.
That's great.
A doodle poll. So we'll have more time to walk around and ask questions.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Thanks, Sam.
Motion to adjourn.